Hello, everyone. This is
Hi,
Adam
Adam.
Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is March the 10th, 2017. And we have three important guests on today to talk about what's going on with Bitcoin this great week, this very exciting week. We have Dave Scotese in California. You might know him from local Bitcoins. Then we've got Gabriel down in Venezuela. And
Hello,
we've got
everyone.
Leon Fu of the Cryptocurrency Market Channel. You know him real well. All of their important links are going to be below. So I'm going to start out the show talking about what's on all of your minds, and that is obviously the ETF, and then the crazy price jumps that went on before it and after it. It was not approved, as I predicted, and it went down to $1,000, as I also predicted. Let's start, of course, with Leon. Leon, tell us about this ETF situation. You actually read the decision. Tell us about the decision and tell us about what happened and what you think about what's going on here.
Yeah, well, going into it, my personal beliefs were it was probably not going to get approved. I was saying it was going to be about a 30% chance that it wasn't going to be approved, and if it didn't get approved, we'd probably go down $150, which was about right. I'll just say was about right. And we would run to 2,000 if the decision surprised. So I think the market was priced correctly going into this decision, based on the odds. I did briefly read the statement from the SEC. Basically, they said that because they weren't able to survey the Bitcoin transactions, the Bitcoin markets, didn't have surveillance agreements, and that was the reason the ETF was not approved. But the SEC gave that reason as to why it did not approve, why they decided not to approve it. So we know what happened. Immediately, it tanked. We dropped to, I think, about 950 on Coinbase, but I think the buyers were ready to jump right in if it was not approved, and we're trading around 1080 right now. So that's the action.
Yes, that's what's going on now. Dave and Leon, you can correct me on this. It was also said that they didn't approve it because it's an unregulated market, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Or at least the existing markets were not regulated to their satisfaction. And they specifically said surveillance. It's because they didn't have surveillance sharing agreements.
Now, I will say this: when the price dropped, everybody tried to get on Coinbase to buy some more, and that is actually that is a regulated exchange. And of course,
that's right.
And of course, that one froze up. So
I tried. I was there ready. I was ready. I had my finger on the buy button, ready to try to pick up some sub 1,000 Bitcoin on if the news went against the ETF, but I couldn't do it. The exchange froze up. I tried to click buy, and it said there was an error. That's the message I got.
So Dave, tell us what you think about this Winklevoss ETF failure and the price drop that has accompanied it, and the excuse that the government made, their insistence on regulation, and how ironically the regulated Coinbase stopped working after this.
Sure. Well, I would assume that the Winklevoss guys are going to persist. I mean, they're not the kind of people that just give up. So it'll come back and haunt us again. Is there going to be an ETF? Who knows? Make the price volatile. And then, the insiders, because as the SEC pointed out, they can't survey. They can't watch. So the insiders are going to buy a little and then do whatever they do that makes the price goes up, and then sell and then do whatever they do that makes the price go down. I guess. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, my feeling on the ETF was that it would have been important because there's a lot of capital that's trapped in retirement accounts, things like 401ks, IRAs, that can't buy Bitcoin through their, it's basically those are brokerage accounts that they can't buy. They can only buy what's on the listed exchanges. And there's a lot of institutional capital that they can't directly buy Bitcoin because of their charter. So if the ETF did get approved, if it was, I think that would have drawn in a lot of new capital that currently can't get in for one reason or another.
All right, so let's. I want to go to Gabriel because he hasn't got to speak yet. Gabriel, what do you think about all this madness here in America? What do you think about?
Well, I must say, my friends, it's been a real wild ride this week. Because we went from 1350 today, and the previous days, it was rocking. It was going up. But everybody who knows what we're dealing with, we were just expecting this. We were expecting this big opportunity for people to buy and hold later. We all knew it was going to happen. I'm so happy we got this off of our backs, this ETF stuff with the Winklevoss brothers. I'm fed up with them, man.
I think that is actually a good attitude to have. Like, this has just been a haunting thing. Everyone keeps asking questions about it. If you're a buy and hold person, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. Dave, you're a buy and hold guy, right?
I actually have a proportional amount of my savings that I keep in Bitcoin. So if the price goes up, I got to sell. And if it goes down, I got to buy.
And excuse me, you know what? Also, I think about this, Adam and Dave, Lion, that if you really want to have Bitcoin, you should be able to get off your back, and do your stuff, get your knowledge and know what you're doing. It's not for lazy people. So those rich millionaires are just waiting to make a call to buy $100,000 of Bitcoin. They're not going to be able to do it. So I'm happy for it.
This is real stuff. You're hearing real talk from Venezuela right now. And you know what? I think this is a good segue into your story of the week, which is people are so curious about Bitcoin and Venezuela. What is going on with Bitcoin in Venezuela? What is going on with your country?
This is really, this is our savior. This is our lifeboat. This is our dream come true. We can finally save ourselves from fiat. We've been damaged from years and years of fiat craziness. We hyperinflate to oblivion. So for us, it's the best thing we can do because it's easy. It's for smart people. You can use all the things that you already have, such as internet, your phone, or whatever. We have lots of people here with internet and phones. Everybody's got one, and everyone is savvy, and they want to know how to save their money because they've been on this thing for years, losing value after value. So instead of going buying dollars in the black market, just go and buy your Bitcoin, and then you're safe. Whenever you need some money, you just sell some.
So, Gabriel, what are the options? What are the options right now for buying Bitcoin in Venezuela? And what about this rumor that someone said that it was as high as $7,000?
Well, it will depend on however you look at it, because we have the exchange rate, which we have two rates, the official and then the unofficial, So you don't really know. It depends on the free market. So Bitcoin is traded on bolívares on the free market nowadays. Selling for 4 million and plus, 4 million bolívares and plus. So you cannot really say depend on the free market during the price of Bitcoin, but the price of the dollar has been strangled by the black market and the controls of the capital controls of the government.
Hey, Gabriel.
Wait. Before you say that, Dave, keep with that in mind. But there was a viewer has a very good question here that I gotta ask. Is Bitcoin illegal in Venezuela?
It's not illegal.
So it is
legal. We are in the very, very beautiful gray area in which the government and its arms, they haven't issued any laws at all. So as long as we're in the gray area, I think it's good. It's good. It's okay. It's good.
Okay, Dave, continue. Sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
Yeah, Gabriel, I wanted to ask you if there is any commodity currency in Venezuela. Like, do people carry around copper coins or silver coins because they don't lose value?
No, no,
No, nobody does that.
they don't
That's
use that.
interesting.
We just use basically paper fiat, and that's it.
Yeah.
Paper fiat. Most of the people, of course, there are people who store gold, and you know,
Yeah.
in chains and like jewelry. But
Sure.
most of the people, they only have fiat. And nowadays, since the last 2 years, it's been growing up very heavily. The Bitcoin usage, because you see, in Venezuela,
Mhm.
we get at least 500 Bitcoins a week traded.
Nice.
Come
Wow.
from? I will tell you, they are mined and they are sent from overseas. You
So
know,
it is.
because
So it's
there's 2 million. Listen, there's 2 million Venezuelans outside. They flee the country. They just this last year. So there's a lot of people who want to support their people. Their people here living, and they buy Bitcoin elsewhere. You know, in Europe, maybe United States, or wherever they are, and they send them to their sisters, to their daughters, to the people here, and then they sell it, and they buy food and whatever you want to buy. You know.
Now you're very passionate about this, so I'm going to let you keep on going with this because it's very important that the world knows what is really going on in Venezuela now. So you are saying that currently that the Bitcoin market is growing every week, that more and more is somehow
It's growing, it's hot, it's very hot, it's steaming hot, because you know, for us to go on the black market and you just go buy dollars, it's so hard. You can get robbed easily. What if you want to buy, you know, like machinery and equipment? You know, it's easily to get robbed. $100,000, $100,000, whatever. You know, you have to have options. So Bitcoin is the best option for us. It's no rush, no problem. It's all on the internet. You just have to learn about it, and then use it. It's the greatest tool has been invented for the last years.
Wow. Well, I got to say, we have 100 live viewers right now. People like this
Great.
video because you're not going to hear about Venezuela and the current news anywhere else. I mean, this guy is.
And I will tell you.
Oh yeah, continue.
I will tell you why. Why? Because we have so many advantages. Although our economy seems to be really screwed up, we have some benefits. You know, as people are mining here, because electricity, you know, it's almost. You know, you buy breakfast with 1 month of electricity here. It's so cheap that, you know, it's stupid not to mine.
Yeah, I'm. This is good to hear. Now, Leon, Leon, what do you think about this Venezuela thing? Do you have any opinions?
Yeah, electricity is cheap, but are you able to get ASIC chips in there? I would imagine is that difficult at all to buy?
It can be difficult, but it can be done.
It can be done. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right, and Gabriel, are there any altcoins that are people using down there by any chance?
Yes, of course. As you know, as I'm telling you, as people love mining here, we have over 7,000 people I know that are mining today, and they're not only mining Bitcoin. They mine Ether, they mine Zcash, they mine Dash, they mine whatever they want with rigs. You know, GPU graphic units. All those coins are still mineable that way.
Well, that is
$2,000.
That's very big.
With $2,000.
That's big news. Now, are people able to exchange their altcoins for Bitcoin there? Or well, no, they can do that once they get altcoins, they can exchange them for Bitcoin on BTC-E or anywhere. Okay.
Yes,
this is good.
Yes. It's been heavy. All at the moment, only at local Bitcoins can you trade Bitcoins for Bolivares, because Sur Bitcoin, which was the main Bitcoin, the main exchange, is off still. Banks' account are frozen. And for the moment, there's no other option.
Now, I'm going to say this. This is all big news here. We're going to have Gabriel back on maybe next week or the week after, and we're just going to have like a 45-minute Venezuela show because I know there are so many people interested in it. Yeah. So he's given us a little bit of a preview here. Dave, do you have any questions about Venezuela or any thoughts about the Venezuela situation?
Oh, well, I was thinking that in Venezuela, if you have local Bitcoins is your only choice for local trading, there's the Mycelium wallet has a local trader function. I think. I mean, it was there a while back, and every now and then I get a ping through that. So that's another option if you're looking for people near you.
It's very interesting. I didn't know about that selling wallet. Very interesting indeed.
Well,
Yeah,
I will say that's actually a very good segue into Dave's story here. He mentioned local Bitcoins, and Dave is very well known on local Bitcoins. I mentioned his situation on a previous show of mine. Some of you may remember the government has confiscated some money that was meant for him because he had sold Bitcoins on local Bitcoins. And well, Dave, take it away. But this is news. This is news. Dave, tell us the news and what people can do to help.
Yeah, the transaction that happened with wasn't even through local Bitcoins. I met the buyer through local Bitcoins, and we had been trading for quite a while, and I trusted him. He trusted me. So, you know, he would send me money when I wasn't around and then let me know about it later, and I'd send him the Bitcoin, trusting that the money was in the mail. And then, you know, eventually that it didn't matter anymore. It's just we would make a deal, and then we both do whatever we had to do to get the other one what he was getting. And one of the packages he sent me disappeared, and that had happened to a different customer before. And I contacted the postal system and asked them for help, and so they helped, and eventually it was recovered. That one happened because a postal kiosk asks you to enter the complete address of the destination, but it doesn't print it on the label. At least that's the way it was a couple of years ago when this happened. So my customer put that label on his package and dropped it in the box without writing anything on it. So it got lost, and then the postal system helped me recover it. So, you know, there was some expectation there that, you know, they would help. But this time, you know, I started bugging them, and then I got a call from a postal inspector who said, "Oh, we have your package." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's great." And he said, "And we're keeping it." And I was like, what? And he said that they were looking to do a civil asset forfeiture with it. And I was like, well, I sent the guy Bitcoins already, and there's nothing illegal about that. And you can check with Mike Dawson. He's another postal inspector who helped me recover the other package, because if it was illegal, he would have told me. He didn't. He helped me recover my cash. So what's going on there? And this guy was like, whatever. And so it's been back and forth for about a year now. And I finally, a friend of mine noticed that the paperwork originally didn't have any criminal lawyers on it. But then suddenly a criminal lawyer appeared on it, and I didn't notice that. I just shared my paperwork, and he noticed it, and he was all, "Dude, you could be facing criminal charges and prison time." And I was like, well, what? No, this is news to me. What do I do? So I hired a criminal attorney, and we're working out a settlement right now. And I'm not ready to go into the details of that, but the upshot of this system is basically that if you rely on the government for justice, they're going to take whatever they want and then make it look like it was just for some reason. Because I was doing a Bitcoin deal, and here's the thing. The prosecuting attorney first said, "We think that you were doing a drug deal because the guy that you were selling the Bitcoin to is under investigation for drug trafficking." And so I was like, okay, well, I didn't know. You know, I had discussions with him about getting merchandise from China, and it seemed like a brilliant solution. And I actually got some merchandise that he said he got from China. So I figured that makes sense. And he was running a music festival business. He had a website and all that. So it convinced me he was legit, and I was helping him get stuff from China and helping his business. But then, they said he was a drug trafficker and he was under investigation. So, okay, no, they didn't say he was a drug trafficker. They said he was under investigation. So apparently that's enough to go take money from whoever he sends it to.
Wow, well, this is quite a predicament. You will keep everybody updated on your blog, though, as you can, as your lawyer allows you, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So and so I explained the stuff about the using Bitcoin to buy merchandise from China, and he's running a music festival business and all that. And then he went to the law and I went to the FinCEN guidance, and then he changed his tune after the judge said, well, you guys are going back and forth too much, so I'm just going to deny his request. He had requested that there be no case and for the judge to just decide that I'm wrong. And the judge said, no, Scotese has brought up some good issues. So I got out of that one. And then he changed, because the judge said you can try again to the prosecuting attorney. And they're not prosecuting me. They're prosecuting the cash. You know, prosecute something that can't defend itself. Your chances of winning are better. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he did try again, but this time it wasn't that I was part of a drug deal. It was that I was trading Bitcoin, and that's illegal, which is ridiculous. And I looked up the FinCEN guidance, and the FinCEN guidance, we went back and forth on it a little bit, and it really is unclear because it says there's guidance about a company that wanted to use software so people could send it Bitcoin and it could send those people cash. And FinCEN said, okay, yeah, that's fine. But if you start operating as a business in the exchange of Bitcoin, which we consider currency for US currency, then you're doing currency exchange, which requires a money transmitter license. But as what you described that you're doing doesn't require a license. And so it's like, oh, if I run a business and I'm trading Bitcoin, then I need a license. But if I'm not running a business and I'm trading Bitcoin, then it's okay. So look in the law and see what is a business. It's not defined. It's basically we do whatever we want, and that's how we do it. So
let me cut you off there for 1 second.
Good.
It's amazing. This happened. You're just a guy trying to sell some Bitcoin. That's all you're trying to do. Get into this deep trouble. What is the lesson here? Should people not use local Bitcoins?
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. What is the lesson?
I don't think it wouldn't matter if I was using local Bitcoins.
Well, but okay, should one be scared to not use the regular exchanges in the United States? That's what the question is.
You mean, should you be scared into having to use the exchanges?
Yes, that's what they're trying to do. That's what you're being made an example of.
Okay, that could be the case, but the prosecuting attorney did rely on the idea that I was running a business, and part of the evidence of that is that I have advertisements. Local Bitcoins lets you place advertisements, and I did, and I showed them to him because he was like, well, can you prove that you did the Bitcoin transaction? And I was like, well, no, but here's my profile. And so yeah, it's whether or not you're doing it as a business and it's currency exchange. But there are deeper issues, like what is currency exchange? What is currency? Currency is defined. It's defined in the law as the coin and paper money of the United States, and some other stuff definitely does not include Bitcoin. But
right now
comes along. Go ahead.
Right now, yeah, I don't want to get too deep in this because this is the stories of the week and everything. But I mean, keep us updated on this. I do want to ask though, Leon, what do you think of all that? What was just said there? I mean, because you are a guy, you're a cryptocurrency trader. What do you think of this predicament?
Well, it's very dangerous. Was there? I guess the reason Dave was targeted was because they suspected his. It sounds like it was almost guilt by association, right? It sounds like just because the person you happened to sell your Bitcoins to was involved in drugs, the government automatically targeted you. Is that that seems to be my understanding? Is that correct, Dave?
It looks that way, but the way that the prosecutor handled it after I basically proved that I had no intent to help anybody do anything with drugs, I was selling Bitcoins to somebody that had bought them from me before. And after I showed him that, he was like, oh, okay, well, then we're going to keep your money because you're running a business without a license.
Yeah, but I think this goes back to the project I'm working on, which is privacy, right? Because even though you had nothing to do with, it sounds still that you were targeted because you were somehow associated with this person, even if it had nothing to do with what he was doing.
Sure.
He may or may not have been doing drugs. I don't know who he was, but just the fact that you traded with him, it was almost like guilt by association, where he just decided to come after you just because you happen to be associated with this guy in something that wasn't related to what he was actually trying to go after.
Yes,
correct?
that is definitely how it started. But Adam asked a good question, which is, what is the lesson? And the lesson could be, oh, be scared, and so do a little less than what you would otherwise. And that lesson to me is, it's really dangerous for our species and our country and our families. That's a lesson that's very dangerous for everybody, because when you operate from a basis of fear, you destroy all kinds of possibilities for technological advancement and joy and medicine, everything. So you have to let that fear go. And the government basically operates using fear. And so the lesson for me is not be afraid. The lesson for me is hide from criminals. And you know, was my customer the criminal, or is the government the criminal? Who stole my money? That's the question. And I'm getting some of it back. It's almost enough to pay the lawyer. So hide from criminals.
It sounds like you're a victim. Yeah. It sounds like you're a victim here, because your government just decided to target you for something that, I mean,
they stole his money.
They stole your money, and it's almost like it's trying to say you're responsible for knowing who you're trading with. Like, if he happens to be a criminal or not, then if you do business with this guy, then even if you know nothing about him, that if he happens to be a criminal, then you could be targeted for that reason.
This could lead into. Go ahead, Adam. It's your show.
Let's again. We're getting back into this thing again. I think we've got this one covered. We talked about this. I think everyone gets it for now. So let's. I want to move on, because the people have questions out there in the audience too. And Leon still hasn't told his story of the week, and we try to keep it under an hour and everything. Real quick though, there is a question for Gabriel. If you can just answer this question very quick. Have you heard of CryptoBuyer.io? Someone wants to know.
Yes.
Okay, you have.
Those are some guys. I'll explain really quick. They sit on the bench with a lot of money, waiting for you to come with your Bitcoin and buy them $200 below.
Okay, that's good to know. The person wanted to know that.
Yeah.
All right. So now
it's good. It's okay. Yeah.
Now there's a lot of the mainstream media is starting to cover the situation. And the SEC situation, that the Winklevoss just got rejected, and they're making it seem like it's very bad. The one title from TheVerge.com: the SEC just handed Bitcoin a huge setback. Real quick, everyone, I'm going to ask you one at a time. Leon, was this a huge setback for Bitcoin?
No. I think personally, that it's going to get approved. Maybe not this year, but as Bitcoin continues to gain adoption, eventually the establishment will adopt it, because they are going to see that if they don't, they're going to get left behind. So they're still fighting it right now. They're still trying to slow it down, but. I think if it's not this year, it'll be next year or the year after that.
Dave, do you think this was a huge setback, or does it not? I don't think it matters that much to you, does it?
No, the idea that what the agencies of the government do could have a negative effect on Bitcoin it's silly in my mind. I mean, it makes me laugh, because basically the way governments operate pushes people into hiding. That's what they do. They push people into hiding. And so when you have something which, and they said, cannot be surveilled, then they're pushing people into that. That's what they're doing when they say, oh, okay, we're going to reject it for whatever reason. They're just pushing people. They're making it more popular. So this is almost the opposite of a setback.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of looking at it. Gabriel, what do you think? Is it a setback, or what?
The news, I read it, and I think it was a setback maybe for those Winklevoss brothers. Maybe they wanted to be 300 million more richer than they already are. So whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
It's not approved. I'm so happy.
Leon, Leon, tell us what's going on in the news over where you are with the privacy coins and everything.
Yeah, so you know, one of the things I realized that you guys may or may not know that Monero was the best performing cryptocurrency of 2016, as defined if you bought it from January to December, right? And that got me researching about what privacy was about, and I realized during, you know, just looking about, you know, the use cases about privacy, and especially financial privacy, that, you know, it's a lot more than just buying drugs. You know, I won't deny people buy drugs, and that's been going on since, you know, humans existed. But you know, privacy is very important, as we saw with Dave, because that, you know, if the government can survey you, as apparently they found out Dave was doing business with this person that that might have done drugs, and that means it curtails our freedoms if we're constantly being surveyed, because, you know, there's this thing called guilt by association, that if you always have to worry about, if you don't have privacy, then you start self-censoring yourself. You start saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't do business with this guy, because even though he may or may not be shady, I just don't want to even take the chance because I'll be targeted. And I think that's something that is going to be recognized as more and more valuable. So, make a long story short, I started writing about why privacy is important, and it's not just buying drugs or buying guns online. It's actually the foundation for our civil liberties. And because of that, one of the privacy projects in the crypto space, they decided to sponsor us to do a series of videos on why privacy is important. And that's why I'm here in Atlanta working very hard trying to shoot these videos. And, you know, these videos are something that that Ty and I were going to do anyway, but with the sponsorship, we kind of like bumped up the timeline, and now we're going to do it all at once rather than just like do it over, say, the course of this year, because of the sponsorship deal that we have. So the first video of that series we published a couple days ago. That's on our YouTube channel. You guys can check it out. It's pretty long. It's an hour. But we're going to do a series of videos. The first video was about like the moral and philosophical reason about why privacy is important. And then the second video, we're going to make the investment case. As, all right, now that it's important, how can you make money? Because it's something that's it's a big opportunity, as we saw with Monero and Zcash and a bunch of these projects going on.
Well, as everyone knows, we always talk about an altcoin here every week. So there's our altcoin mention. I'm not, you know, I don't encourage people to buy altcoins. That's not my thing. But we have all sorts of different guests on here, so that's great that Leon is bringing his his perspective here, which is good. And this will lead me into the next. It's a two-part question for everyone's going to get this question, because we're going to try to wrap it up pretty soon. But it's a big question.
Okay.
I'll ask Gabriel first. What do you think what do you think the price of Bitcoin will be at this time next week? And what do you think the next big issue in Bitcoin is going to be that's going to affect the price?
Great questions. First, in 1 week from now, I think it'll be between 1,000 and 1,100.
Okay.
Pretty solid. And the next question, can you repeat it, please?
Yeah. What is the next big issue in Bitcoin that's going to affect the
next big
price?
issue for me, it's when finally governments find out how great Bitcoin is, and they want to start buying, and it's going to go crazy for the price.
Wow, that is excellent.
That's the next big.
That's a big one. That will happen eventually. I don't know when.
Yeah. I hope in 2 or 3 years from now. I hope, so we get time to buy before them.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think the price will be next week at this time, and what's the next big issue Bitcoin is facing?
Wow, my price predictions are not very useful. I could try to pin it to a $100 slot by saying somewhere between 10.75 and 11.75, actually, I think I want to push that up a little bit, but you're only giving me a week, and the volatility just got shook out. So I really, I don't know. I don't know. But the next big thing for Bitcoin, well, that depends on what you count as a big thing. But if you haven't noticed, the block size debate has some interesting stuff going on, because a lot of people are, if you go to xtnodes.com, you can see there's a lot more Bitcoin unlimited blocks. And that means there's a lot of people who are starting to think we really do need a block size that's bigger than a megabyte. So, and I don't know what's the schedule for Lightning. When's that going to come out? Because that would really reduce the need. No, that's okay.
And I'd say the segregated witness debate is huge. It is going to be, that's what I think the next big thing is. So I think you've hit the nail on that one. This whole about it a lot on here. I want to point out to everyone, we have like 150 live viewers. Please like this video, everyone. Smash that like button. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. It's not over yet. So Leon, I'll let you clean up. What's the price, and what's the next big thing?
I think the price settles around between, say, 1050 to 1200. I think we bounce around here for a little bit. I think the next big event that moves the markets is going to be the IRS versus Coinbase hearing that's coming up. If you don't know this story, the IRS recently subpoenaed Coinbase asking for all of their records. So this is important because Coinbase is probably where most Bitcoin users in the United States got their Bitcoins from. So the IRS has, Coinbase appealed saying, no, we're not just going to hand you everything, right? Because that's an invasion, and once again, of privacy, which is something that I've been working on for the past month. And that hasn't happened. Like, if you want the financial records, you can't just go to a bank and tell them to hand over records for all of their customers in every single transaction. They have to, they're supposed to go to a judge and target a specific person, saying we suspect them of doing some crime and we want this person's records, right? That's how it's supposed to work, not just a wholesale, we want everything on everybody, right? But that hearing is happening, I believe this month sometime. I have to go back and check the dates. It was supposed to happen in February, but I think the government, the IRS, asked for a delay, and they pushed it back to March. And I think that's going to move the markets. If that hearing doesn't go well and Coinbase is forced to hand over everyone's records, I think that's something that is a cause for concern, especially for us Bitcoiners in America.
Okay, this is very interesting stuff. Now, I want to thank Dave and Gabriel and Leon for being on the show today. But before we go, I want everyone to give their, if we skipped anything, any final conclusionary quick thoughts that they may have. Dave, I'll start with you. Dave, then Gabriel.
Okay. Yeah, there's all kinds of thoughts in my head that I didn't speak. The IRS versus the Bitcoin thing is interesting because my research into taxes suggests that if you don't have an information return against you and you're not actually, doing something that the federal government had to give you permission for, then they have nothing to say about the money you earned. They can't tax it because those are they pretend that the information returns are required. And once they get them, they're like really dogs and they hang on. But my understanding is that you can defeat the information returns. But if you use federal privilege, then you have to pay the taxes. And that's a huge issue if anybody wants to look into it. The other thing I can't remember, so next time.
Okay.
Oh, cool, yeah, no. This is an important one I wanted to bring up for Leon, actually, specifically because you talk about privacy, and I agree that privacy is important. But it's really only important to the degree that society is intolerant. What does society not tolerate? It doesn't tolerate people using drugs and heroin and all that stuff, and that's why it's illegal, and that's why the government can punish people for it. If society was like, oh, that stuff's all fine, then the government would have no grounds to hurt people, and nobody would care about privacy.
Yes, yes, and I would say that sure, even if people were against drugs, but do we give up? Like, I don't use drugs at all. I mean, why should I? Does everybody have to give up their privacy just because a few people may do drugs or do something illegal? You know, do we just become this mass surveillance state, and we justify that because there's a few bad apples? That's not a free society. You know, that's what the Stasi used, you know, to do, or the Soviet, you know, to do mass surveillance. That's 1984, right? That's Orwellian.
All right, we're getting into the deep discussion here. And by the way, people like this discussion. I got to say that we're getting some good chat over there. But let's not get deep into this. Let's just do our concluding thoughts here. Okay. Gabriel, your concluding thoughts. Gabriel, are you still there, Gabriel? Yeah. Give us your thoughts that you might have not.
Final thoughts. Two small things. Number one, the speculation in the US dollar market was huge compared to the Chinese market. Okay, so US dollars, it went down 10%, it went down 5% after the ETF call. So, and secondly, the war is on versus Segwit. Why is Endpool signaling Bitcoin Unlimited? That is my question. Why? I want to throw it out there, and maybe some people will tell us. Why is Endpool signaling Bitcoin Unlimited? Why? Come on.
Yeah, that is a big question, and I think it should be out there, and people are wondering what the heck is going on behind the scenes with something like that.
Yes.
We shall see. We shall see. Let's just leave it at that for now.
I agree.
All right, Leon, your final thoughts, and then we'll get on out of here.
I think Bitcoin's going to have a great year. I mean, you know, despite the dangers such as you know, and the obstacles that we face this year, such as the block size, such as the IRS, such as you know, the ETF ruling, I'm thinking Bitcoin's, you know, we're going to have a good year this year. I think we're going to hit, say, 2,000 or 3,000 by the end of the year. That's my view. Of course, with volatility, just like we saw today. But I think it's a good time to be in this space. And I also believe in like I said, the privacy projects. I think with the whole WikiLeaks and revelations again that just happened, you know, I think the projects in privacy are going to do well this year. That's going to be a major focus of cryptocurrency.market for this year. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right. Well, this show has been very exciting and very diverse, very interesting. This was our 8th week of this show, and we've had different guests on every single week. So I'm so happy that I have brought over 25 people to the attention of all of you. Next week, we're going to start doing repeats where we bring back people that you like. So contact me. Tell me who you like, who you don't like, who you want to see back, which combinations you want, because next week it starts and the best are going to be back, and I'm really excited. I thank my guests again for being on the show. We're going to join you guys in the chat in about 30 seconds. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. I post a new video here every day, sometimes 2, like today. We do this show every Friday. And again, tweet it out. I forgot what else I was going to say. That was This Week in Bitcoin. Bye-bye, everyone.